Hey guys, welcome to the Gods Unchained beta with the Professor. All right, in this video, we are going to answer the question, is it worth playing Gods Unchained in 2022? I invited several guests to share their thoughts and expectations for Gods Unchained in 2022. But before we talk about that, let's talk about some of the accomplishments in 2021. In early 2021, we got a sneak peek of the sealed deck in PTR, Public Test Realm. The sealed deck is a new game mode that is under development. We saw a referral program from Gods Unchained called Stay, Play, and Get Paid. Stay, Play, Get Paid gave the recruiter and the referral some ETH in their accounts for completing some missions and playing the game. We saw the rollout of Immutable X Marketplace, IMX. Genesis cards were finally minted onto Layer 2 for gasless trading. That's right, no gas fees for trading and selling Genesis cards along with other Gods Unchained cards. We saw the Trial of the Gods Mythic raffle. A winner was drawn for the Mythic card, Citadel of the Gods. We saw the release of the Gods token to the player base and investors. We also saw the release of the IMX token to player base and investors. A new expansion set was released, Divine Order. Another play to earn event was launched, Blessing of the Gods, which rewarded Gods token to players just for playing the game. Deck codes were released to allow players an easier way to share decks. Gods Unchained surpassed 50,000 weekly active users. When I first started the game, there was only 1,000 weekly active users. In late 2021, the Forge reopened. The reopening of the Forge allowed all players to fuse their core cards together and sell them on the IMX marketplace. Veteran players were awarded Gods token for their Flux. MoonPay was integrated into IMX, allowing players a way to buy ETH directly onto IMX. And of course, the community came together and hosted several free tournaments to keep the player base engaged and competitive. Let's hear from our guests what they think about Gods Unchained in 2022. The Mudman. All right, everybody. We're going to go ahead and ask Mudman what his thoughts are on Gods Unchained for 2022. So welcome, Mudman, and let us know, what do you think Gods Unchained is looking like for 2022?
Oh, well, thanks for having me, Professor. And I'm definitely feeling positive for 2022.
Oh, that's good to know. So would you like to share a little bit on why you're thinking Gods Unchained will be in a positive outlook for 2022?
Yeah, sure. So, just like right now at the end of the year, everything's just humming along so nicely. The Forge finally came back, so there's like great, like the whole play to earn loop is finally here. The Blessing of the Gods event has been like really fantastic, but I'm really excited for that to end, just so we can see what like the ongoing play to earn dynamic is going to be. That's probably what I'm most excited about for 2022 is just like seeing where the play to earn comes in, especially because we know that brings in more players. The player base is like skyrocketed since all that's been implemented.
Great, great. Okay, so it sounds like your biggest outlook for Gods Unchained and why you're positive on it is the play to earn happenings that recently released, namely the Forge, and you also mentioned the Blessing of the Gods event. So I think those are really great draws for the crowd, as you mentioned, bringing in new players. So would you say that you're more interested in a play to earn event that we currently have with the Blessing of the Gods, or are you looking forward to more just a sort of like a daily play to earn mechanism?
I'm looking forward to like a daily play to earn mechanism, especially if mobile comes out anytime like in the near future. Like if you can just be like watching a football game and also like be working towards your daily gods quests, that'd be so great.
Okay, okay. Do you have any just thoughts or ideas on what you'd think a daily play to earn mechanism would look like? Are you thinking of like quest, or are you thinking about sort of like the Blessing event, but like truncated into a shorter window?
Yeah, I imagine like they could definitely do something like quest themed, similar to like Hearthstone, where it could be like win 3 games with death, or play 10 nethers or something weird like that. Because like if they did it like that, it could sort of like correspond with your gauntlet. You had to like win 3 games with death and then win with Atlanteans. That's death and light, something like that. But whatever
Nice.
they do, I'm sure it'll be fine.
Cool, cool. All right. So sounds like Mudman's hot for Gods Unchained in 2022, and you're especially interested in the play to earn, as many players are.
Yeah, I think that's just the best way to like get a big influx of players. Just because if the game is like, you can compare it to Hearthstone, Hearthstone's really popular. I think Gods Unchained's more fun, and if people know they can make money playing a game they know they're gonna like, then the player base is just gonna skyrocket.
Definitely, I agree with you there. I think the biggest difference right now, um, in terms of the gameplay, I think the quality is there. Obviously, Gods Unchained doesn't have as much length of time in release as Hearthstone does, but I think, as you mentioned, really the big, call it billboard signage thing that will draw people in is the play to earn mechanism. Once it catches on to more people mainstream, then I think that will be a huge lift for Gods Unchained once people understand that they could earn money while they're playing games.
Yeah, if you can earn money and the game is fun, which it is, then that's just the perfect storm.
Definitely, definitely. Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts for Gods Unchained in 2022. I agree with you. I think there's a good outlook for Gods Unchained, and definitely I think one of the biggest outlook, and we're getting a taste of it now with the release of the Forge and the Play to Earn event, is the Play to Earn kicking into high gear next year. Anything else you want to share before you hop off?
Not really. Thanks for having me, Professor. It was a pleasure.
FakeMews. All right, everyone. Next, we have FakeMews here. FakeMews is a top Gods Unchained player, whether it's the weekend ranked or during the weekdays or even in tournaments, and also a content creator. He has a Twitch and YouTube. So appreciate having FakeMews here. How are you doing, FakeMews?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you doing, Professor?
I'm doing good. Thank you very much for taking that time. So wanted to ask you a question. What's your outlook for Gods Unchained in 2022?
Well, I mean, it's definitely a mixed bag. There's a lot of potential in the game. I think that's the key word that I have is potential. I'm obviously a little bit positive. Otherwise, I would be cashing out with the prices right now where they are at. But this is going to be a pivotal year for Gods Unchained moving forward, I believe. And I think it's a very exciting time to definitely be in the game, though.
Okay. So it sounds like you're pretty favorable on Gods Unchained, which is the reason you're not cashing out yet. So care to elaborate on what's got you feel fairly positive about Gods Unchained for 2022?
Well, when you think about what the game has is right now you have got a lot of potential. So there's been talks of a potential world tournament. I don't think that'll happen in 2022, but maybe if we can take some steps toward that, that could generate a lot bigger audience coming into Gods Unchained, which would obviously be good for us who are in a little bit early. Also, I believe with the addition of potential game modes down the line, as of right now, you can only really play on ladder play. Even with weekend rank, it's just ladder play. There is community run tournaments, which are pretty fun as well. But I think the addition of a new game mode in 2022 is, I think, something that I would believe is very important. I think it probably will happen within the next year, which is another reason to be bullish. We get a sealed or draft mode on in Gods Unchained. It is just going to be absolutely insane and a lot of fun. And the community run tournaments being run by people like myself, and of course Infinite Mana and others as well. Suli's got a great tournament series rolling on right now. Great community overall in general. It's just fun to be hanging out in various Twitch streams and Discords and chatting with the community.
Okay. So it sounds like you're really positive on Gods Unchained based on the potential it could potentially have, meaning potential growth, whether that's a world tournament to draw more people in or additional game modes to be offered in 2022, and just the general tournaments that the community is putting on currently.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of potential. There's also, on the flip side of things, some concerns as well. I think, for one thing that concerns me a lot is, we're wanting a lot of growth, but can the servers hold the growth? That's a big thing that worries me. Another thing that worries me is people look at the game, see some of the top decks, get sticker shock, and run away. The Genesis supply issue is a big concern of mine. I play a board wipe death deck that some people are familiar with that would cost around $10,000 USD. And I don't think a lot of people can afford that. And that is going to limit the potential audience we can grab in. So I think it's really important for people who are creating content like yourself or myself to focus on some of the cheaper options at times to maybe help grow the game a little bit better, because there are still free to play or cheaper to play options to compete. But I still think that the fact that there are decks out there that cost $10,000 is a problem for the game, because a lot of the people who are going to come into the game, they're going to want to compete, they're going to want to be able to play just about everything. And the fact that it's just not going to be open and available to everyone who comes into the game, that could be potential problems down the road.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thanks for bringing up some concerns that you had. And I agree with you. I think cards being expensive and out of reach for mainstream could be a growth inhibitor. However, I do feel like with more players in Gods Unchained, what that does is also adds a little bit of viability for free-to-play people. And when I say free-to-play, the people that earn their way eventually to Divine Order packs as well without spending money. I think having such a larger player base will then help people that are a little bit skilled that could pilot a free-to-play deck plus Divine Order, and they can then, they're less likely to run into those Genesis whales and hopefully put up some decent results. But I do agree with you. Some of the top tier decks are priced out of budget for several people, but I do think that part of the benefit of a growing player base is the call it the competition is a little bit diluted.
Yeah, you dilute the competition, so maybe you get better results in weekend ranked and you feel a little bit better about yourself. That could potentially lead to some game growth. But at the end of the day, when you're having stuff like these world tournaments and these community-run tournaments, a lot of these, you can play the top decks with these Genesis cards, and it's really hard to win those type of tournaments unless the structure is limited in itself. A lot of these tournaments, you can't run the most expensive cards in them anyways, just for competitive balance. But in those that have no restrictions, you see these $10,000 decks that can be very intimidating for some people.
Yeah, definitely agree. Yeah, that's a really good point. Thank you for bringing that up. Anything else you want to share in general about Gods Unchained and your expectations for 2022?
I mean, just in general, my thoughts on the game is it's a lot of fun. When you compare it to some of the other crypto games going on right now, like people enjoy playing Gods Unchained. I don't know if people who have enjoyed playing, some pyramid Ponzi games out there that I have talked about before that you might have a stake in. But yeah, it's a fun game. You do. Even if you don't spend money in Gods Unchained, you can compete if you get your skill level up, especially if you come from a background in Hearthstone. I started, by the way, for those of you who do not know me, I started as a free-to-play player, and I had some luck and some skill combined that led me to a point now where I own everything in the game. Well, all the meta. I'm a demigod, which is the basic sets. Genesis, Trials, Cores, and Divine Order. I've got a playset of everything from those sets. And that I started completely free to play and don't have any money. In fact, I've withdrawn some money from Gods Unchained. So this game has treated me extraordinarily well, and looking at that collection value and token trove can be surreal at times. So just for anybody who is starting out right now, you can go from free to play and have a very, very large collection, be a demigod in the future. I've done it. It's not easy. You're going to have probably some things break your way as well. But it's been a fun journey nevertheless.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for sharing that story. I think maybe since you are a content creator, whether it's on your Twitch streams or your story times or even your YouTube video, that might be an interesting video series down the line, kind of chronicling your journey from free to play to where you're at now as a demigod. I think some of the things that you were able to do, some people might not be aware of, and I think people might find that useful down the line.
Yeah, who knows? They're always looking for content for Toxic Storytime Thursdays for sure. Give everyone a good bedtime story before they go to bed.
Yeah, sounds good. All right. Thank you for your time, Fake News. I really appreciate it and definitely appreciate all the information that you just shared. It's good to hear from top community members like yourself on your thoughts on the game and hearing you share your experience. So thank you very much and I appreciate your time. Kargas. All right, everyone. I have Kargas here. Kargas is a Twitch streamer for Gods Unchained, also has a YouTube channel. I'm lucky for Kargas to spend some time with us and sharing his thoughts. How are you doing, Kargas?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Doing well. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today. Just wanted to ask a question for you. First
hmm
question is, what's your outlook or what's your thoughts on Gods Unchained for 2022? Do you think it's positive, negative, bullish, bearish? What's your thoughts?
I'm very bullish. I'm very positive about Gods Unchained in 2022. Like, if you just look at Hearthstone, for example, like 3.5 million active players, right? Like, I feel like Gods Unchained is in its discovery period. Like, crypto's finally become mainstream. People are finally coming to the space. They're seeing the potential. I think play to earn is like the future for all, kind of. Crypto, like for all games in general. I think we're not going back to the regular model of games. So yeah, I'm very, very bullish on Gods Unchained.
That's great. So you mentioned specifically Hearthstone's player base, but also the play to earn. So why don't you expand a little
hmm
bit more on why you're so bullish on Gods Unchained?
it's honestly the first game of its kind that I've played where it's like you're playing a game and you're making money at the same time. Like for me, that concept, like I could never imagine a system where you could play a game and make money at the same time. So for me, it's just like groundbreaking. I think it just needs that exposure. Like once it gets popular enough that it gets like great word of mouth, it's just going to go off, in my opinion.
Okay, so you're saying that you're bullish in Gods Unchained in 2022 for a couple of reasons
hmm
you mentioned, but you just
There's
mentioned
more,
that,
yeah.
yeah, right. But you just mentioned right now that you're
Mm.
looking for it to, it's just looking for that. Gods Unchained is waiting for that spark. We're talking about that
hmm
that word of
hmm
mouth, that exposure. So are you saying that that will happen in 2022? That's why you're so bullish on it, or are you saying
I
that?
I really think so, yes, because they're developing the mobile side of Gods Unchained, so you'll be able to play it on mobile. And once that app comes to like the App Store for Android and iOS, it's just going to go off, in my opinion. That's going to be a big part of it. And if they do the marketing right, so this is something I'm not sure of, but if they do the marketing right, they can get some Hearthstone streamers or something to come across and play the game, some really popular ones. It could be just huge because you've already targeted the right audience. You want to target the right audience with the right numbers. If they do something like that, it will just go off. That will be the catalyst. They
Right.
just need to figure out how they're going to do it. Yeah.
Definitely. Good points you bring up. So just to kind of sum it
Mm.
up, you're bullish on Gods Unchained in 2022 for a number of reasons. You're talking about the potential player base it could capture. You're talking about play to earn, but
hmm
specifically you're mentioning how you're seeing 2022 could be the point where Gods Unchained blows up, and that
hmm
really depends on the marketing and getting that word of mouth going, right?
Yeah, yeah. And just people are coming into the crypto space like never before. It's become more mainstream year after year, and that snowball effect, it like trickles down into the gaming community, the gaming side of crypto as well. So just as time progresses, the game's naturally going to get more exposure just because people are looking for crypto games now. Whereas last year, I doubt many people were looking into NFTs and crypto gaming. Like, it just wasn't a thing, at least in my experience.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Myself, I didn't hear about crypto games till late last year, and when I
Mm.
when I joined it, when I say late last year, late 2020, and then I
hmm
figured early 2021, it wasn't as popular yet, but it seems like now that we're nearing the end of 2021 and looking to 2022, I agree, you're right. We're getting so much more
Mm.
exposure, people talking about it, more people are looking into it on the Twitch views, etc. So I think you're right.
hmm Yeah, no, the Twitch views have gone up exponentially, and they're doing a really good job with Blessing of the Gods, like just allowing anyone coming into the game to earn money without actually having to pay anything, which I think is really awesome. And if they implement card renting, it's going to help with like new players accessing those really good Genesis cards. That's the one thing that is a negative. Like it's not all positive, but that's my one negative aspect is like if the cards go up in value too much, that could kind of scare some players off, but it's also a good goal to work towards, knowing that the card can act as like an asset as well as something you can play with. So that's a cool little niche thing it can do too.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's one of the propositions of play to earn is also the ownership value of it, and it's an investment. All right.
100%.
And anything else you want to add about 2022 for Gods Unchained?
I'm just really excited for mobile. I'll be able to play it on the go, and I just think it's going to bring even more players. But no, besides that, nothing I can think off the top of my head. But yeah.
All right. Well, I want to thank you so much for spending time with me. You know you're a busy person and you have a lot
Yeah.
of things to do. So thank you so much for spending
Oh,
time
good,
and sharing your
Professor.
thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah. ZeroPrince Bactad. Hey everyone, Prince Bactad here with me. I'm asking Prince Bactad, who is a representative of the Gods Unchained Filipino community. The Filipino community is a growing community for Gods Unchained, and we have Prince Bactad, one of the administrators for the Facebook group. So welcome, Prince Bactad.
Hey everyone, hey guys, I am Prince Bactad from Gods Unchained Philippines. Way back July, I started play the game. I think the group is only around 100 people members, and now it's almost 8K members of Mortals here in PH. For
Yeah.
me, the game outlook in coming 2022 is a blast. I think the adoption of players here in PH is increasing day by day. As expecting, the game increased popularity here in PH because many Filipinos love play card games, and the games is also awesome. I love to play it every day by day. Yeah, the positive. Yes, that's all for an awesome 2022. And also the mobile game, when the mobile is released, I think it's gonna be to the moon.
Okay. So it sounds like
Up.
you're really positive about Gods Unchained in 2022, and you mentioned that for the Filipino community, it's going to keep growing the player base because you mentioned that Filipino, just like card games and games in general, but also you mentioned mobile. So are those your big reasons for your expectations in 2022?
Yes, Prof. I think the mobile version of Gods Unchained is gonna be big. I think it will conquer the NFT games when the mobile games release. And also big thanks to GU, I earned some money. I I am so happy that I am earning in something that I love.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
all. Prof.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that, for sharing that. I definitely agree with you. Not only you and not only for players in the Philippines, but everywhere, all the players in the GU community, we've all been blessed this year with Gods Unchained, with the play to earn that we've experienced with the Forge and also the Gods token. So I think everybody in the Gods Unchained community is definitely appreciative. So thank you for bringing that up. Anything else you want to add about Gods Unchained in general, if you want to say to the Filipino community or just the community in general?
I want to say to the Philippines, mabuhay kayo, grind lang ng grind. Grind every day. Earn some packs, then forge.
All right.
Mabuhay everyone.
All right.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. Thank you so much, Baghdad. I appreciate your time and sharing your thoughts. I think I'm in agreement with you that Gods Unchained 2022 is going to be looking really good. And I think the communities will be growing, not only in the Philippines, but all around the world. And I think part of that is going to be the play to earn and also the mobile. So thank you very much. I appreciate your time. The Bad Baba. All right, everyone. I have Bad Baba here. Bad Baba is a top Gods Unchained player coming in the top 20 in the weekend ranked, one of the top players during the weekdays, and also a tournament player. He's also a content creator. You can catch him on Twitch, and also he's been making some great content over YouTube. How are you doing, Bad Baba?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, Prof. Glad to be here.
Oh, yeah, it's my pleasure. Always like collaborating with you and having you in the video and hearing your thoughts. So let me jump right in. First question I want to know, what's your thoughts for Gods Unchained in 2022? What's your outlook?
So I'm super excited to continue playing Gods Unchained and continue creating content. You know, we've had a bunch of new players come in, and the new players, they're thirsty for information. So I'm glad to be here and able to help them out.
That's awesome. Awesome. So you said you're excited and you see new players coming in. Can you elaborate a little bit more on why you're feeling really positive about Gods Unchained?
Yeah, yeah. And so we started to see a lot of people come in after the Gods token and the IMX token were dropped, and also with the new play to earn system. So a bunch of new people coming in to earn those tokens and play the game. But we're going to be switching to a daily play to earn system here soon, I'm pretty sure. And when they implement the staking with the Gods token, I think that's all like good stuff to be excited about.
Okay, so it sounds like your biggest thing is that you're feeling positive about the player growth, and you feel like it's driven a lot by the tokens, and then the potential of the tokens, meaning the earning mechanism once it goes to a daily play to earn model, and also the staking. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah. And I'm also excited about the core set refresh, which is a new set of core cards that are being released. And so when those come out, that's going to be shaking up the meta a ton, and it should be a fun time.
Yeah, I think that's a good point that you bring that up. I think one of the things we'll see that we have seen this past few, call it recent months in 2021, is that a lot of the Gods Unchained team members have been more responsive. Like they've been making some tweaks here and there. They've been making some balance changes with Divine Order and the core set, and now they're coming up with a core refresh. So it sounds like they're really working towards keeping the game engaging. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, 100%. And I mean, I really appreciate it too, because like we get balance, we've had quite a few balance patches, and each balance patch we've had, it seems like it significantly kind of tweaked the meta. You know, we had like the Guild Enforcer change, and then they tweaked Guild Enforcer again, and when all that stuff happened, it kind of changed the game and what decks people were playing. And I always enjoy it when they do that, and it just allows for like different types of decks and archetypes to come online and be playable at higher levels, which is cool.
Yeah, right on. It definitely keeps the meta and the game fresh, right? Because decks you're seeing this week and your decks that even you're using yourself, it changes the following week when something like that happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice, nice. Okay, yeah, appreciate you sharing your thoughts for 2022. Anything else you want to mention that you feel like is a big thing for Gods Unchained to mention for people that might be thinking about joining Gods Unchained in 2022?
Yeah, yeah. So there's one more thing, the tournament scene, and we've had a ton of tournaments this month. Like, what has there been, like 7 or 8 different tournaments, just like community sponsored
Right.
tournaments. So, and I think it is cool. There's different types too. Like some of them, there's different formats with different restrictions. So some of them are like completely free to play. And so maybe you're like a new player and you don't have that big of a collection, but you're still able to come in and participate in the tournaments. You know, maybe win some money or just play and have a good time. So I'm really enjoying like that aspect, and I imagine we'll keep having more and more tournaments as the player base keeps growing.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thanks for bringing that up. I think that's one of the things that's important about the Gods Unchained right now is besides the game, it's the community, and you mentioned that through the community gameplay and the interaction with the tournament. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up. That's a really key point how the community comes together and hosts our own tournaments to keep the player base engaged.
For sure, for sure.
All right. Anything else you want to drop in before we hop off?
I guess I just want to welcome all the new people, all the new players, and uh, not just people playing the game, but like the people that are coming and streaming. I've seen we've had a bunch of new streamers, people creating content, and you love to see it. So shout out to all those guys. And yeah, here's to a great year, 2022.
Yeah, definitely. Well said. Perfectly captured there. I echo your sentiments there about the new players coming in, new talent, new energy. and definitely hoping also for a great 2022 for Gods Unchained and for everyone. So thank you very much, Bad Baba. Appreciate your time as always, and thank you for dropping some knowledge.
Hey, no problem. Appreciate you.
Clutch. All right, everyone, we have Clutch GU here, and we are going to be talking to Clutch in a minute. But before we do that, let me introduce Clutch. Most of you already probably know him. He is the 2021 Player of the Year. Gods Unchained community ran a series of tournaments over the summer, 5 to be exact, and Clutch came out on top, beating several top players. Clutch is also a top player in the weekend ranked and during the weekday, and he's also a content creator. Clutch can be found on stream, on Twitch, and also on YouTube. So welcome, Clutch.
Oh, thanks for having me. That was a good introduction there.
Yeah, no problem. You make it easy. You have all the accolades. I just got to read them out, so no problem.
All right.
Cool. All right, let me jump into the first question, Clutch. Well, what's your outlook for Gods Unchained in 2022?
I am very bullish on Gods Unchained in 2022.
All right, that's good to know. So what makes you very bullish about Gods Unchained?
So I've been in the community for like 9 months now. It is one of the most supportive communities I have ever come across in my years of gaming. It's pretty insane. So I think this community can really propel this game forward. As well as I have to mention the tournaments. I think we're gonna see a lot more tournaments next year. We just concluded. Well, actually, I think we're like in the middle of like a big tournament season. Uh, there's like a lot that just happened, and there's more coming up. I'm very excited for it, and I think next year is gonna be the same thing. More tournaments, bigger prizes, because more players. So yeah, I'm very excited for all that.
Yeah, it's a very good point. I think you bring up a good point there about the community being supportive, and you go ahead and bring that up straight into how the community helps itself and others by hosting these community tournaments. And I think that's a great build up because as you know, being an active community player yourself, and for those of us that might not be as active in the tournament scene, there are several tournaments that Gods Unchained has been hosting, that's hosted actually by the community, and Clutch is saying that there's going to be a lot of that in 2022 is his expectations.
Yeah, more tournaments and bigger tournaments, bigger prizes too. So I'm very excited. Very excited. 'Cause you know, I love to compete. Win or lose, I like to compete, but hopefully we bring some of them home.
Oh, nice, nice. Okay, so you're not only expecting more tournaments, you're actually expecting bigger tournaments. That's a good point. I think in the past, the tournaments have been pretty generous. We've been seeing prizes in the $500 to $1,000 prize pool, but you're expecting more. Is that correct?
I mean, it just makes sense when you get more. I know Infinite Mana is messing with paid entry tournaments.
All right.
So I mean, if you're doing that and you get a lot of people that want to be in it, I mean, you're building up the prize pool pretty nicely. So yeah, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, that's a good point. And do you think the way the community runs a tournament now, sort of, leasing the third party site, um, and sort of just, like through word of mouth in the Discord, do you feel like that's enough to sustain the growth, or do you feel like there needs to be something more official down the line, or are you expecting something more official down the line in 2022, or do you feel like the system was working as is and that's just what we'll be expecting?
That's actually a good point. I think we do need something more official. There's a lot of people that don't. Someone just told me today that they only hear about tournaments from me. Like they just don't know where to look. No one seems to know where to look. I know a lot of people that miss out on them because it's pretty. I don't even think it's that hard to find, but it needs to be easier, I guess. So for all these people.
All right, sounds like Clutch will be posting in the feedback channel of the Discord, pitching an idea for something more official for tournament results. Clutch is the hero of the people. We'll definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, I just want everyone included in the tournaments. More the merrier, or something like that.
Definitely. I agree. I think playing in a tournament is such a different experience than playing ranked games. And I encourage everybody out there that's interested in tournaments. A lot of them are free to play, so it's definitely something that's worth trying, nothing to lose. So it's a great way to get experience, but also experience something different about the game.
Yeah, and get your name out there. You know, who knows? You win one. It's like, oh, who's this guy? Is just winning tournaments? It's pretty cool.
Right on, right on. Yeah, nice. Thanks. Thanks for those responses. Before we hop off, do you have anything else you want to share about just your expectations in 2022 or just Gods Unchained in general?
That's about all I prepared. So no, I don't really.
Great answer. Great answer. All right, cool. Well, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. I know you're a busy guy and you're always prepping for GU, playing GU, or doing some painting. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on.
Lion Unchained. All right, everyone. Now we're going to hear from Lion Unchained. Lion Unchained is a top community member in the Gods Unchained community. He is a streamer, YouTube content creator, tournament organizer, and also an active ranked player. So welcome, Lion Unchained. How are you doing?
Thank you, Prof. I appreciate the introduction, and I'm doing well.
It's good to hear. Good to hear. All right, so I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions. First question being, what's your outlook for Gods Unchained in 2022?
So my outlook for Gods Unchained in 2022 is quite positive. I have a really good feeling about the game, and there's a lot that I'm looking forward to.
All right. So you have a good feeling for the game and a lot of things you're looking forward to. Care to share and elaborate on those things?
Yeah, absolutely. So since we've gotten like the Forge working and the full play to earn ecosystem going, I'm really looking forward to what the Gods rewards on the play to earn side are going to be, and starting to actively achieve those rewards. And another big thing I'm excited for is the tournament scene. As we know, they are hiring a PGM for esports to facilitate the world tournament. And as you know, being a facilitator of tournaments myself, that's something that I'm the most excited about. I think that the competitive scene for Gods Unchained is just, it's been growing and it's just going to flourish in 2022. And hopefully we get that. Hopefully we actually get it this time, the world tournament that we've all been hoping for.
That sounds good. Okay, so it sounds like you're really hyped for the play to earn that's been we've been given a little taste of it in the last 2 months of 2021 with the blessing of the gods and play to earn. So you're looking forward to that in 2022. Call it the daily iteration of that. But it sounds like you're even more hyped for the tournament and how esports are going to roll out. So how would you envision that to be a successful thing for Gods Unchained in 2022? Like, what would you say for Gods Unchained to have a tournament structure laid out in 2022 or introducing the tournament scene? Like, how would you see that to call for you to call it successful?
Well, what I'd like to see from that, I'd like to see a professional circuit, so something like we see from other major games in esports, and I would like something that's regional based, and something with like points. So over a series of tournaments, you would have points, and that would qualify you for the tournaments, kind of like what we saw out of the community tour in essence, but just at a higher professional level, big prize pools. Paid out in God's tokens, and then just some sort of qualifier so that we can really get the top players from around the world on that stage for the finals. And that world tournament's just going to be something else. As far as I know, it should be the first world tournament for a play to earn blockchain game. So I really hope that they can execute on this well, but I would like to see some of those series tournaments started up. And I think if they are able to get kind of like a league, like a professional league that leads into that like as a qualifier for the world tournament, that would be what I want to see.
Okay. So it sounds like you have some great ideas, and you're not necessarily banking on the world tournament in 2022, but if you're seeing some sort of progress or a league setup or a circuit of tournaments, you feel like that's already a great achievement. Is that correct? Or you want world tournament in 2022?
Honestly, I want the world tournament whenever they're ready for it. It
Okay.
would be great to do it in 2022. If so, they'd probably need to do it at the end of the year. They are still hiring for that PGM position. The hiring just closed on that. So if we get someone in place, in Q1 of this year, it's not unrealistic for it to happen at the end of the year. I think that having a world tournament happen yearly and starting this year would be a great achievement. But I also think that maybe someone with the foresight might want to put in place these tournaments, these qualifiers, and do a trial run this year, and then maybe have the world tournament in 2023. I'd be excited about either of those. I just want to see some progress being made towards this.
Awesome. That sounds good. Sounds like you have a lot of great ideas. So hopefully you'll be in consideration for one of these positions, or even not officially, but in some capacity, but maybe as a consultant or in some involvement, because it sounds like you have some really good ideas for these things. And I like some of the things you've already shared with us just right now from us chatting.
Yeah, I did. Well, I'm actively putting in an application. I'm a little bit late, so hopefully they'll still give it some consideration. But whether or not I get that position, I really would like to be involved in facilitating those tournaments. I'm already in talks with some other, I guess you could call it strategic partners, about doing some in-person events. And as you know, I run the Clash of Mortals tournament series, and we're going to continue to do those through 2022.
Awesome, awesome. Well, good luck to you. Hopefully you get it. Before we close, anything else you want to talk about for Gods Unchained on your expectations or just outlooks?
Yeah, I guess I could just say for new player adoption, I'm really happy to see what they've done with Blessing of the Gods. I'm really happy with the new game balance. I am Brian, or I am Bryn, whoever that is. They've been doing a fantastic job with the game balance. The Forge is out. I have to say that just overall have a very positive outlook, because they've really been delivering on a lot of those long-time promises. And I'm just really excited to see what other kinds of, I guess, functions that they start bringing into this. Maybe we're going to get the ability to, I guess, deforge cards. So maybe we can turn shinies into meteorites, or kind of getting the welcome set in so we can start forging up some of those. I know I've bought a handful of Axewomen and other cards that I'd like to start forging up. So, there's a lot to be excited about right now. I think the long waiting period for these things to be delivered has come, and I just really hope that the team can continue to deliver these on a good timeline.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. Yeah, thanks for bringing up all those recent wins. I do agree there's been some great changes and positive momentum lately, so thank you for bringing that up. It's a good thing to remind players and the community about the progress that has happened. Definitely not 2021 wasn't all ups. There's also some downs and some lulls and some sideway action. So thanks for bringing up those positives too. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you for having me on and asking these questions. It's nice to be able to share this stuff. You run a great channel. I love your Twitch, and I also very much so love your YouTube channel. So
Hey,
thank you.
yeah, thank you so much as well. I appreciate the kind words and I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today. Aftermath. All right, everyone. Next up, we have Aftermath Arachnid. Aftermath is a known community member. He's usually very active in the Discord balance channel, has very opinionated thoughts and comments on helping the GU achieve a balanced state of game. He's also a top weekend ranked player and one of the top Gods Unchained players. So welcome, Aftermath.
It's a pleasure to be on, Professor.
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad to have you on here. Appreciate you taking the time. Let me just jump into the first question here, Aftermath. What's your thoughts or outlook for Gods Unchained in 2022?
I would say the two words to sum it up would be cautiously optimistic, and I mean that in the best way possible. In that I think that GU will succeed, but we've got a few good barriers to go before it's a sure thing. Let's just put it that way.
Awesome, awesome. So you cautiously optimistic. You say it's pretty much a positive thing, but you want to make sure there's a couple of barriers that we cross. So can you expand on that a little bit, please?
Yeah, so the barriers that I'm on about tend to be more balance related and kind of the general overall package of the game. Like there's still a lot of spaghetti code. The game, it's not that efficient for lower NPCs to run. A lot of the animations are still quite laggy because of the code. You've also got UI problems where like little things like it will bug out every so often, and just kind of the overall quality of the package comes across of a much smaller company than Immutable currently are, which makes me a little concerned because it's like these little problems can be tweaked within a few weeks of coding, or they can't, and the spaghetti code's a lot worse than I thought. Where I'm optimistic is that they seem to have a good plan. From what I read on the Gods white paper, they seem to be planning it in the right order now. Whereas before, I think they promised too much and then disappointed people with what they could produce. I think what they've given themselves as a task to do this year is pretty good. So we've got Sealed coming out, which I think is very doable, seeing as they were They've been working on that for at least a year, and they've also got the tournament from 2019 that got delayed. And I think if that goes well, then we're in for a very, very good year.
Okay, so that sounds good. So you're feeling like the overall package of the game, which includes balance and coding and the presentation, needs to be polished up a little bit for Gods Unchained to be more mainstream in 2022. But then you do feel that the direction that they're headed indicates that that's something that could transpire in 2022.
Yes. I think that 2022 will be probably their most pivotal year in the sense that I will know by the end of it whether this game is going to, be successful and become mainstream. And that might be out of their control regarding, crypto regulations and stuff like that. But on the whole, I think they can do a lot this year to improve their chances of becoming a mainstream game and in turn becoming, one of the biggest TCGs in the world.
It's awesome. I love that point. Thank you for bringing that up. Anything else you want to throw out there for Gods Unchained in 2022?
Yeah, I mean, my only other concern with it is just the balance and the locking of the sets. But that's a personal concern of mine. How they deal with it will be very interesting to see. Everyone's got their own opinions of how it should go, which probably says it's a very complex issue. So I just wish the team all the best in dealing with locked sets. That's for sure.
Right, but I think on that point, generally, would you say balancing and the balancing team has been doing better lately?
Oh, the balancing team has done a cracking job. Shout out to Imbrin. Massive respect to Imbrin and all that he's done in the past few months. He's had a lot of rubbish to sort out, and he's sorted out the large piles of it. So yeah, I'm very optimistic of who's leading the balance team now. That's for sure.
Awesome. That's a great way to end it. I think as long as that maintains its course and we stay strong with the balance team, I think you'll be a happy camper.
For sure. Thanks, Prof.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Aftermath. Appreciate you taking the time and sharing your thoughts. Wish you the best in 2022. David from GUDecks. All right, everyone. Next, we have David from GUDecks. Everyone in the community knows about GUDecks. It's the top website that players use for Gods Unchained, especially during the ranked weekend. Has a lot of features. Check out my interview with David to dive into more of the different features at GUDecks. Welcome, David. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you as well. Thank you very much for taking the time. I wanted to ask you a couple of questions. First question being, what's your outlook for Gods Unchained in 2022?
Ooh, so yeah, we're obviously excited at GUDecks to work again with Gods Unchained in 2022. We think there's a lot of really cool stuff coming down the pipeline. I'm sure everyone knows what the larger roadmap looks like. Things like sealed gameplay, right, which is both mine and Steven's favorite type of card gaming, is in the works there. So like we think that's like an awesome thing that's going to come and will bring a lot of more uses and fun and deck building and planning and stuff and things like that on GUDecks, but also I think that'll bring in a bunch of new users. And hopefully we'll bring in a way to monetize and that sort of thing within the game as well.
Okay. So you mentioned that you're excited and you mentioned the roadmap and upcoming modes. You mentioned sealed, but I guess is that the most you're excited about, or what's the one biggest thing that you're feeling about?
I think that's what I'm most excited for. I think in general though, just obviously new cards, new sets, all that sort of stuff is super excited. I'm really excited about the recent like balance change, like just how frequently they're making balance changes. How it seems like the Gods Unchained team is really listening to the community now. So I think a lot of it. I know everyone, including us, we were frustrated for a long while last year because it just seemed like things were happening slowly, right? And a lot of that slowdown was due to Immutable X and waiting for that to all get up and running. But now that is all up and running, we can. We're seeing the fruits of that, right? We're seeing the quick changes and the all the new features, all the Gods token stuff like that. That all happens super fast. So we have that, and also I should mention that evolutions hopefully is going to be something. I'm not privy to the to-do list of the official team more than anybody else. But just kind of how things look, I think evolutions will be super exciting too, right? Which is where people can either burn certain cards together and and then once you burn those cards, you'll get either a new card, which allows for things like, it's a sync. So one, like your core cards can go up in value because now they have more of a use than just, as the exact card you see itself. And it allows for, again, new cards, new gameplay, new opportunities for cosmetics, stuff like that.
That's a good point to bring up. You're right. We're not privy to the team's information, and I haven't really heard much about the evolution, but that's an interesting concept. And if that's something that's down the line that they're working on in 2022, and if they start teasing that out or developing into that, I think that'll be huge. I think a lot of players are looking to be able to use their NFTs and create something new. So that sounds awesome.
Yeah, I think the team really realized with the success so far of the Gods token, and how the user base obviously growing. I apologize for all of the growing pains that both GUDecks has had with the API, and there's been issues like that, but that mostly should be cleared up now. And yeah, so that's mainly because of a huge user base growth that we've seen. So I think it's a really positive thing. I think that's going to just encourage the team to want to do things like incorporate DeFi more. And when I say DeFi, I that's probably not the right word. I guess I should say incorporate the sort of like token burning and adding and that sort of stuff, right? Using NFTs more around the whole card game already, to grow this like NFT ecosystem collector kind of mindset as well.
Definitely. So it sounds like you're overall excited, and you mentioned a couple of things. You're talking about the roadmap that they have planned ahead with additional modes and game changes, and the recent developments of play to earn, IMX, and also the balance changes. Anything else I missed?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, I think just the user base growing is exciting. That allows for a changing meta. I mean, allows for the value of everyone's cards to go up, which is exciting, but also kind of opens up a just a more traditional style card game, right? Where there's lots of players and you're not seeing the same players. Like I'm sure a lot of not a lot of users, but some of the listeners probably just remember playing the same few people, right, on the weekends.
Right.
You see the same guy a few times, right? It wasn't that long ago, but now I jump in and I see I don't know anybody I play anymore, which is exciting. So
Definitely. The user base has been growing, and we're looking for hopefully more growth in 2022. Before we hop off, do you have any positive news or big outlook planned for either GUDecks or Token Trove in 2022?
yeah, I think everyone's gonna be excited. We actually just hired our a new employee here, Ben. So if you see him on Discord or ever, go ahead and give him a shout out. Or if you have any complaints, give them to him now because I'm gonna shuffle all the work to him anyways. But yeah, so some new employees, which allows us, we're gonna be able to integrate some more new features. Like I said, when those new kinds of modes come out, we'll be on top of that, right? Suggesting which cards are good and that sort of stuff. Have a streamer section planned to kind of highlight streamers and bring in new streamers and have featured streamers and that sort of stuff, right? So we want to encourage the community growth there. And just in general, we're going to have more time now to add archetypes and kind of focus a little bit more on the meta, especially as we get bigger. There will be more those archetypes will kind of solidify, and it'll be easier to say here are cheap versions of them and more expensive versions and that sort of stuff, things that were harder to do when there weren't a ton of players because everyone just wanted the same cards anyways. But now we're seeing some cards are getting too expensive for the average player to use, obviously. So we're kind of, looking into that sort of stuff. So we'll be able to focus more on that. And then Token Trove, as always, will be, just maintaining, hopefully our lead in the IMX market space, and we'll have whatever features people want to have. So as soon as things like buy orders and auctions and those sort of things come out, we'll be ready to add them.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for sharing. Love to hear the positive momentum for both GUDecks and Token Trove, and happy to hear that your team is growing and getting more support. I think it scales nicely with how the player base is growing as well. So thank you for that.
That's great, and I want to thank all of our users out there who use us and everybody who reports bugs and complains, and I know we appreciate it, and we want to be the number one resource for all of the Gods Unchained community as well.
Cool. Thank you very much. All right, thanks for your time, David. I appreciate it, and keep up the great work. And say hi to Steven for me.
Will do. Have a good one.
Nottamali from MetaMoon GG. All right, everyone. Next, we have Nottamali. Nottamali is a active community member in Gods Unchained. You can see him usually in the Discord, on Twitch, and also on Twitter. Nottamali is also an active player. You can see him in the ranked weekend and in tournaments. Also, one more thing, Nottamali is co-founder of the new company MetaMoon, which has a suite of products for Gods Unchained, with one of them being the MetaMoon deck tracker. So welcome, Nottamali. Hey, appreciate you taking the time.
Oh yeah, no, happy to talk about GU, and yeah, this was an interesting topic, so I'm happy to dive in.
All right, great. Cool. So let me jump into my first question for you. Wanted to know, what's your outlook for Gods Unchained in 2022?
Yeah, so I feel very positively about Gods Unchained in general. I think that this year is going to be a very defining year in terms of where Gods Unchained is going to go. I personally have a lot of fun playing the game, and so I think that people who know me know that I am very much a proponent of the card game itself. The NFT aspect is, it's very up in the air in terms of regulation, all that stuff. But overall, I think that compared to all the other play to earn games out there, Gods Unchained blows everything else out of the water. So I feel very good about it.
That's awesome. So you mentioned that you're a proponent of the game first and an NFT second, and you're really excited. So maybe you could go into a little more details on what's getting you excited about the Gods Unchained overall for 2022.
Sure. So I think mobile is probably the biggest thing that excites me about where GU is headed. The player base has also grown very nicely since we have the new Blessing of the Gods campaign up and rolling, and it was even extended. So we've had a game that's been working for a while now, but basically we're finally at the point where you actually you could play ranked weekend and you could still do a play to earn. And so there were opportunities to play and basically build out these assets, starting with nothing. Even free to play to mythic is a pretty cool challenge. But now that we have the Gods token that's online and the weekly payout just for playing the game, the rewards are there, the player base is growing, and once we hit mobile, it's just really off to the races.
Okay. So you're mentioning that mobile is one of the things you're excited about. You probably saw the teasers that they provided in the Reddit page. What's your expectations for mobile? Do you feel like it's going to be fully fleshed out by the end of 2022, or you feel like it's just going to be a call it slow drip out?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel as though we've already seen some benefits to the client itself. Gio has mentioned that I think they call it a thin client, where they have done some bug fixes and they've streamlined the process in which the game is run. So I think that we should see mobile this year, and I think that it should be functioning and scalable. Obviously, I don't have a crystal ball or anything, but even if it were to be a little bit slower than my, I'm a generally optimistic person, my potentially optimistic timeline, we've already seen how the game itself is benefiting from that push. So to me, it really boils down to, I'm not going to say when it comes out, but the access to players not being a PC only game. Well, personally, I would still play it on the PC, but the fact that we're going to just get such a larger audience of people who don't need to have even $1,000 computer. You can just have a pretty basic phone, and if you can get into this ecosystem through that, I just really think that this is just such a wonderful opportunity. And the game's fun, like I said before. So, it's interesting, and mobile will just connect players. So, yeah.
Yeah, and you mentioned that the other part you're excited about is the growing player base. You mentioned the play to earn campaign.
Mhm.
What are your
Yeah.
thoughts? So let's say that mobile, takes a while to come out, and the play to earn campaign currently going on, it runs its course. What are your
Mhm.
thoughts for in terms of player base maintaining that growth that we've accomplished and maybe even continuing to grow? Do you feel like it's really tied to mobile and play to earn, or do you feel like you mentioned you like the fun of the game? Do you feel like that's enough to kind of keep the people in?
So, Gods Unchained isn't a new game. It's been there've been it's been out for a while now. We are in the I guess is it the third set? Hard to keep track of these things. But ultimately, we have a lot of content out currently, and we've had lulls between that content, and the community in general, I feel, has just really um, been a big part of not necessarily even filling in those gaps, but basically, even if we have a bit of a slower timeline on things, we still have these community run tournaments. We have people who are just willing to help each other, and we've been building up this community for such a long time. Um, to me, it's this interesting question that you're posing, which is okay, so we have this Blessing of the Gods event, which I believe is set for, it was extended and that will eventually run out. I've heard talk of a daily quest, that there'll be so when we sunset one of these events, there should be another one that takes its place. But is that even needed? I think that it is, because you really need to get players to be able to earn gods and then forge the token, forge with the token, get their NFTs, sell them, trade them, build up their collection. I think we do need some sort of play to earn component, but everything that I've heard about in terms of the pipeline of what's happening this coming year is that we're going to see potentially a lot of new sets. The cadence of the set releases are going to increase dramatically, I would hope. And with that, you are going to not necessarily need as a robust of a, hey, we'll pay you X tokens a week to play. If the game is fun, you don't need that. So
Right.
I think, oh, go ahead. Yeah.
All right, I was agreeing. I think that's a good point.
Totally. Yeah. So at the end of the day, it really boils down to the content and the marketing campaign. And I think that one of the cool things about just blockchain with gaming is that, previously these AAA games, they hold on to the assets. They don't really pay out very much. And also with the marketing campaigns, they'll pay someone else $100,000 to bring people in the door and try their game. With the blockchain game and with what these the Blessing of the Gods campaign is doing and all of that stuff, we basically, this game itself is able to put that into the pockets of players and say, hey, we have a great game and you should give it a try. No cost up front, and you can even, get assets from doing that. It's just, to me, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, great points. Totally agree with you. Appreciate
Mhm.
all the information you shared. Before we jump off, let me ask you. I mentioned MetaMoon at the beginning, the company
Yeah.
that you and LionUnchained co-founded for to create content for Gods Unchained and other crypto games, blockchain games.
Mhm. Yeah.
Do you guys what do you guys have in store for 2022?
So I can't say too much, but I can say that we are still actively developing the deck tracker. So for Gods Unchained, we're gonna continue to build out the tool to allow players to get even more insights into their gameplay and to make help them make those meaningful decisions and to earn more. So we do have active development in that area, and there are other games that we're talking. We're basically talking with other people, but ultimately it's a very exciting year for MetaMoon Gaming as well. So, I wish I had a little bit more to share, but I can say that there is stuff in the pipeline.
Yeah, no problem. I think just hearing that is great. Definitely you and Lion both supportive of the community. I think I'm not alone in saying that, we're looking, the community's looking to support you guys back. So we'll be excited to see what you
Oh,
guys have in store.
cool. Well, thank you so much. And yeah, obviously the community is where it's at. So just shout out to everybody.
Definitely. All right. Well, I want to thank you for your time and sharing your thoughts. Appreciate it very much, Nottamali.
Cool. All right. Well, take it easy. Thanks, everybody.
Bonk. All right, everyone. Next, we have Bonk. Bonk is a team member of TSC. He is one of the top Gods Unchained content creator. He streams on Twitch with the Gods Unchained show. also a top ranked player with great finishes in the weekend rank and tournaments. Welcome, Bonk.
Hey, thanks for having me.
How are you doing today?
Fantastic, man.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I'm glad to have you here. Let me just jump into a couple questions I want to ask you. First question, Bonk. What's your outlook for Gods Unchained in 2022?
My outlook for Gods Unchained in 2022 is absolutely, positively through the roof, dude.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So sounds like you're a little excited, a little bit only, but
Oh
care
my
to?
God, I am so amped up.
All right. Let's hear it. So why are you so positively excited about Gods Unchained for 2022? What's got you excited?
So basically, if you were around a year ago, I think you would kind of understand where I'm coming from just right off the bat. The turnaround that Gods Unchained has done in the last 6 months to a year is absolutely nuts. So a little context: about 6 months to a year ago, I can't really remember when, we were hearing some rumors from dev teams about like this huge hiring spree that was coming on. They weren't recognizing people in the office anymore, and I was getting frustrated because like months went by and things still weren't great. And then out of nowhere, the floodgates opened and just so many good things started happening back to back. The team just started pumping out good news and reversing things that maybe were frustrating people. And it's just been great stuff. I mean, I haven't been in the official Gods Unchained Discord as much lately. I used to be in the balance chat a lot, and basically just from checking in the balance chat every once in a while lately, like it's a massive difference in a positive way. Seeing devs, in there constantly talking to people, and it just seems a lot more positive and constructive, and just in every aspect of the game, good things seem to be happening. So I don't really have many specific things that I'm super excited about, but I'm just over the moon about how things have been going. I can't imagine things going any differently in 2022. I imagine things will keep around the same pace, and we have a lot of things to look forward to. I don't know when things are happening, but we have sealed, we have our draft, and we have mobile to look forward to. So many good things, man. And I'm rambling now, but I'm amped up.
All right. So sounds like what got you hyped was the later half of last year, 2021. Good news started happening, meaning movements from the team, development, responsiveness, etc. And your outlook for 2022 is based on that. You're thinking that will continue, and with that momentum continuing, you're expecting, as you mentioned, mobile and new game modes. Sounds right?
Yeah, just about. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm expecting those things, or I'll be upset if they don't happen. Just work being done, work that you can see results from being done, is more than enough for me. I'm very happy with it.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess the biggest thing, the takeaway then, what you're excited about 2022 is just all the things that Gods Unchained has accomplished when they've started pumping out the content, and you're just looking for that to continue, and then that's basically your outlook and your expectation for Gods Unchained is to kind of carry that momentum forward.
Yeah, just consistent improvement. That's all I ask for.
Awesome. That sounds good. All right. Anything else you want to add about what you're expecting in 2022?
Well, I'm expecting some more absolutely amazing TheProfesserf content.
No, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Of course, man. Keep up the good work.
Cool, man. All right. Yeah, just wanted to say, been liking the stream that you've been doing the last few months, where you changed it up and now you're producing an actual show. Has been really great for the community, and just want to say thanks for that. That was a really creative and great idea.
That means a lot, man. Yeah, all the people who tell me they like it every time, it makes me feel really good. So I appreciate that.
Cool. All right. Yeah, looking forward to more Bonk at the Gods Unchained show in 2022. And I want to thank you for your time and sharing your thoughts. Good to hear how amped and hyped you are about 2022. And we'll be looking forward to, we'll be looking forward to seeing more of you and just Gods Unchained in 2022. Thank you so much, Bonk.
Awesome. Thank you, the professor. You're the man.
Caution Fun. All right, everybody. Next, we have Caution Fun. Caution Fun is a team member of Team Stream Team. He's also a content creator over at Twitch and YouTube. And also, you might have seen Caution Fun on the leaderboards. He holds the highest record for weekday MMR, a little over 1,800, and also has several top 10 finishes with several first place finishes as well. So, and also, let me not forget to mention this, a top tournament player. So welcome, Caution. How are you doing?
Oh man, what a flattering introduction. I'm doing well, man. How are you?
Doing good as well, and no worries. I mean, the introduction is just me reading off your accomplishments, so all you, my friend, all you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for taking the time. Appreciate it. Let me just dive into the questions here. First question for you, Caution. What's your outlook for Gods Unchained in 2022?
Well, with the pun 100% wholeheartedly intended, I would say I'm cautiously optimistic for 2022.
All right, all right. Interesting choice of words, right, with the pun as well. So tell me why you are cautiously optimistic.
Well, I mean, the cautionary aspect comes from the fact that building and maintaining a really fun and engaging trading card game is just really, really hard. You know, there's just no two ways about that. But on the other hand, 2021 was full of massive challenges too for the Gods Unchained team, for the IMX team. You know, building out that foundational infrastructure, building out IMX, launching the tokens, relaunching the Forge, completing that play to earn loop, launching expansions, etc. The list goes on. And by all means, the team delivered, and they kind of smashed a lot of my expectations along the way. So for that reason, I'm very optimistic. I think the Gods Unchained and the Immutable teams have shown that they have the ability and the people in place to deliver, despite the super challenging nature of their task. And I still think they're the best equipped team in the NFT space to bring an NFT based game into the mainstream. And I think they're going about it the right way. So yeah, I mean, it's a really daunting task bringing an NFT TCG into the mainstream, but I think they're more than capable of it.
All right, all right. So it sounds like you're optimistic because of all the deliverables that they were able to pump out in 2021. However, you're exhibiting a little bit of caution with that because you feel that it's not a cakewalk. There's a lot of things that need moving parts, and the team really needs to be on their toes and on the top of their game to deliver what they need to deliver. Does that sound about right?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, if you look elsewhere in the space, there's a lot of games and ecosystems that are just, they're very much in their infancy. And if you compare them to where Gods Unchained is at, you know, I think GU has quite a head start, and I think their processes, like their sequencing has been correct. You know, last year was all about building out all of the things, the core foundational things that this game needs to continue to exist, like gas fee trading on IMX, the play to earn loop with the Forge, and, you know, minting tokens that you earn by playing for free. All of those things, yeah, they're already in place. So now it's just building on top of that, and really just keeping the momentum that they built in 2021, just keeping it rolling throughout 2022. And I think that would be more than enough.
Okay. Okay. So then I'm going to ask you a direct question. What would they need to deliver in 2022 for you to feel that they did it? You know, 2022 is done. Because I know we talked about all the accomplishments they did in 2021 and how they laid the foundation. They're equipping the team with the right tools. But besides them sort of maintaining that momentum over to 2022, do you feel like there's something they need to, or, you know, maybe do you feel like they need to deliver something in 2022, or do you feel like they just need to maintain that and that's good enough for a successful 2022?
I think the two main things of note that I would like to see in 2022 that haven't been delivered yet, in my opinion, are one, I would like to see a bit of a rebuild on the client and the launcher. Just I know that it's still plagued with bugs here and there. There were also some scalability issues during this Blessing of the Gods event. We had an unprecedented amount of new players, and that seemed to put a strain on the servers and the launcher. So cleaning up those things, making it like a real seamless, frictionless experience for a new player. Mentioning the Blessing of the Gods event, that's due to end at the end of January here. So that will have to be replaced with some sort of earning mechanism for players to earn the Gods tokens outside of the specific Blessing of the Gods event. And I know they said that they wanted to transition to a daily earning system, or even like a per game earning system for the Gods tokens. So just those are the two main areas of focus, I would say, is just continuing to build out the play to earn economy and cleaning up some of the technical issues that players may have run into. Those would be the two main things.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And I think those are good points to bring up. You're right. Play to earn brings in the players, and if they continue that, call it incentive, then players will keep coming. But at the same time, the company, the server, the platform needs to be able to handle that growth. So I think your answers or your two deliverables they go hand in hand basically to kind of sustain that growth, correct?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Cool. Anything else you want to share about just your thoughts for Gods Unchained in 2022?
I'm just looking forward to the content that you continue to put out, and other content creators within the community. Just really excited to see that continue to grow as well. This community is the greatest that I've come across in the gaming space, not just the NFT gaming space, just the gaming space period. And just really excited to see what you guys continue to build in 2022.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And it's likewise as well. You're one of those content creators that you're talking about. Definitely looking forward to your YouTube videos, Team Stream Teams videos, and also your Team TS Tuesdays, and also just the stream. So yeah, definitely. I think it goes hand in hand. We're all part of the community, looking for everyone to succeed and see what we all deliver in 2022.
Should be fun.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you for your time, Caution. And as always, you dropped some very valid points and things to think over. So thank you. I really appreciate that.
Thanks for having me, man.
All right. As for me, I am very excited for 2022 for Gods Unchained. I am very excited about the team behind Gods Unchained. Very excited about the community that we have and that's growing. But also, I am very much looking forward to Gods Unchained to release in mobile in 2022. I think that will be the key for Gods Unchained to go mainstream and to really grow the player base. So I'm looking forward to Gods Unchained going mobile in 2022. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about Gods Unchained in 2022 and if there's something you're excited about. Take care, everyone, and have a great 2022.